morning. I am Colleen Connor. I am the chair of the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all, graduates, parents, spouses, partners, children, friends, trustees, faculty, and staff to the Vermont Law School's 44th commencement. I'm also a proud graduate of Vermont Law School, class of 1985. For those of you doing the math, I was a very young graduate. Graduates, I sat here on this town green at my own Vermont Law School commencement. We had new fallen snow on the ground that day. I was wearing this awful mustard yellow bumblebee gown and this silly hat. I was filled with excitement about my future career as a lawyer and anxiety about passing the bar exam. I've been in your shoes, so I feel particularly well suited to speak to you. Enjoy today. You've worked hard to get here, and you should celebrate this accomplishment. You will realize soon enough, perhaps tomorrow, that today marks not the end, but the beginning of your journey using your law degree, your master's degree, the knowledge you have accumulated, and the friendships you have built. I guarantee your journey will have hills and valleys. They always do. And life will place curves in your path, but you will figure it out because you now have the tools. You will find your way without GPS, but by using the skills you have honed here at Vermont Law School. My charge to you as you leave South Royalton is to travel your journey with bravery, to challenge what you see as wrong and support strongly what you believe is right. Go change the world. You got this. I'd like to introduce to the audience those members of the Board of Trustees present on the platform. They're a hard-working group who have take seriously their responsibilities for the governance and direction of the law school, and they're pleased to present today to be present today as part of the Vermont Law School community. Please give a hand for the trustees. Seated behind the trustees are the members of our faculty. Please join. Thank them for their outstanding company of teachers and scholars whose successful labors bear fruit today. I'd like to recognize Kinvin Roth, who served as dean from 1996 to 2004. Thank you, Kinvin, for your commitment to the law school, and also Ann Debevoise, whose husband Tom was one of the first deans of Vermont Law School, serving from 1974 to 1982. Tom was instrumental in making the school a reality, and Anne continues to serve the law school as a trustee emeriti. Finally, I'd like to thank all of those who are here today to support our graduates. I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those members of our community who have passed this year and whose presence is sorely missed. It's now my pleasure to introduce President and Dean Thomas McHenry.
Good morning. A warm welcome to all of you, especially the family and friends of our soon-to-be graduates in front of us here. I'm delighted to host you here today on this very special occasion. There was some question about whether spring had been canceled this year. We had a very long winter, so we're pleased that you brought the beginnings of spring with you, but usually we have a few more leaves on our trees, as Colleen explained from the snow that she had at her graduation. Speaking of cancellations, we had considered canceling this commencement ceremony because we don't want to have you leave the school. You have been a wonderful group of Masters, LLM, and JD students, and we've gotten to know you. I sat through the award ceremony yesterday thinking, oh my gosh, how will we possibly run the school without your direction? It will be very hard. So we have a couple of spots open in the LLM class. If you're takers, let us know. You know this is a special occasion because why would I wear a hat this funny? And speaking of outfits, the last time I saw the men in the graduating class in gowns like this was at gala. And I realized that with this class, we may be losing some of the last anatomical snow sculptors who I think they have self-identified, who graced our campus with their artwork on my hiring visit to the school. This was turned into a teaching moment by our Dean of Students, who explained to them that the First Amendment does not grant them the right to sculpt whatever shape they want on private property. So we look for our teaching moments wherever we can find them. For those of you in the audience, not our graduates, of course, but those family and friends who may be unfamiliar with the variety of degrees that we will soon be awarding, please see pages 3 and 4 of your program. In short, I just wanted you to understand this. We are a law school, and we award a Juris Doctor, or a JD degree, to those degree holders who will graduate from the school with a JD degree, be able to take the bar exam in any one of the 50 states, and be licensed in that state or other states. But that's not all we do at Vermont Law School. We also, by the way, show of hands for everybody who's getting a JD. That's a good chunk of our class. But in addition to that, we award an LLM degree, which is confusing because LL in Latin actually stands for lex, law, magister. And those are granted to students who already have a law degree. So they have a law degree in the United States or in another country. And now they're getting to specialize in environmental law, or if they're coming from another country, they will then, having gotten an LLM from us, be able to take the bar in any one of our 50 states. So LLM degree receivers, raise your hands. Where are you, LLMers? Over here, right. But that's just the beginning. Because, and I hold a master's degree as well, not from Vermont Law School, but I hold a master's degree in environmental studies. We award 4 different master's degrees at Vermont Law School, 3 of which are environmentally related, and we have wonderful acronyms for them. We award a MELP for environmental law, a MERL for energy, and a MFALP for agriculture. So all of our master's students raise their hands. Right. But this year, we're doing something new and wonderful and special, which is we are particularly pleased to be awarding today, for the very first time, a Master of Arts in Restorative Justice, adding the word Marge to our alphabet soup of degrees. And this is a terrific new program to study and learn about new ways to think about and respond to harm, conflict, and crime. So will our Marge graduates raise their hands? It's a small but growing group. But we're not done. There's one more. Many of the master's students that are receiving degrees today have taken their entire program, or in some cases part of the program, but in many cases their entire program online And today, or yesterday, is the first time they've visited our campus. So if you're getting if you were one of our online students, raise your hand. Where's our online group? Right there. And you should know that those are students that in many cases are working full time while they are getting those degrees. So imagine how hard it is to do that. We consider the mix of our masters, our LLM, and our JD students to greatly enrich our educational experience here at Vermont Law School. So I want to say a few words about the wonderful set of graduating students and then turn the podium over to our student class speaker, Serena Tang. And I heard she has wonderful comments for you. And I also want to recognize the 3 outstanding individuals who will receive honorary degrees, and we'll do that in a formal way in a moment. But they are Senator Tammy Baldwin, our speaker, who we'll hear from in just a moment, National Wildlife Federation CEO Colin O'Mara, who you heard from yesterday, and Judge Peter Hall of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, who's been a trustee at Vermont Law School for a number of years. They are terrific, and we're so pleased to welcome them here. So there's some notable accomplishments about your class. You were the first class that had a bald eagle, our national bird, fly over your orientation ceremony. That eagle must have known that you were very special, or, Sue, how can we arrange to get the eagle next year? Well, we have to talk about that. You were the first class to take the preliminary bar. How much fun was that? Thank you. It's going to pay off this summer, I promise. It will pay off. You were the first class to have a solution conference on mental health and the law. You served as student ambassadors to the largest entering JD class in Vermont Law School in the last decade. You assisted more than 130 households in South Royalton and environs in doing their taxes this year and gained great experience in how to manage clients. You served more than 350 Thanksgiving meals to our community. You are a class that resuscitated and supported a number of student groups that had slipped by the wayside, energizing these groups and the class as a whole, and parenthetically causing us immense scheduling challenges. We hold, by the way, more than 365 events at our law school every year. Do the math, and we don't hold events during weekends usually and summertime. So that means we several times have 3 or 4 events at the school in a single day. You had a terrific Martin Luther King Day celebration with Judge Jimmy Edwards, who one of your classmates was able to breach a snowdrift and get across the border to present. I'm waiting for the phone call from the immigration authorities to explain that. Your women's law group brought wonderful speakers here. You had a wonderful Thurgood Marshall moot court speaker. You brought to our campus this year the Vermont Attorney General several times, members of the Vermont Supreme Court to hear cases and meet with you, and our own trustee, Bob Fisk, to discuss the Mueller investigation about 2 weeks before the report was issued. Your moot court and appellate advocacy skills were extraordinary. You participated in so many different appellate advocacy programs. I can't list them all, but they included National Moot Court, PACE Moot Court, Energy Moot Court, Emory Civil Rights Competition, Intensive Trial Practice, Animal Law Moot Court, Sports Law Arbitration Panel, and many others. You also brought gender-neutral bathrooms to Vermont Law School. And for those of you in the audience who might be a little squeamish about even hearing about gender-neutral bathrooms, or even why that subject gets mentioned, I think the story of how that happened is illustrative of the talents of this class of students. We wanted to have gender-neutral bathrooms. We wanted to promote that. We asked the students to participate, as we do in many things at Vermont Law School. The students met. They met with student groups. The SBA, the Student Bar Association, met to discuss it. And they came back with a recommendation. And interestingly, the recommendation was not to turn every single bathroom in all of our buildings into a gender-neutral bathroom. And the students said, we should have gender-neutral bathrooms, but we should respect the opinions of those who would prefer to have a sex-specific bathroom. So we'll alternate the floors and oaks and do them in different ways. And I thought to myself, boy, you are going to be great policymakers and lawyers, because you are able to see that there are two sides to an argument, and you are sensitive to how other people might perceive a particular initiative that you would want to do. So I thought that was terrific. I've come to know and appreciate your impatience and your intolerance of the status quo. Your desire to improve the world, whether in a very personal way by bringing your own container to the cafe instead of the wasteful use of plastic, to attending the Conference of Parties in Poland on global warming. And I'm reminded of the comment that a number of you have heard before by one of your master's students who's graduating today, when I asked her back in January how her second semester was going at Vermont Law School. And she said, Dean, which is everybody calls me that, she said, there are just too many classes that I want to take and not enough time to take them all. And I explained that she could load up her courses and schedule and take more courses, or she'd even stay on here for another semester. And she said, Dean, the problem is the planet is getting warmer. And I thought that spoke so well of the mission-directed and purpose-driven sense of our students, that they want to get out and do things. So we're deeply proud of you, every single one of you, and thrilled to be awarding you your degrees today. The future of the Earth, our tender little planet, that little globe floating in space that's green and blue, is going to be in your capable hands. And when I look at you, I see tomorrow. So thank you very, very much. Serena? And I will ask Serena to come to the podium, and she is on her way. Serena, you should know, was chosen by the class as a whole to be our speaker.
Thank you, Dean. Hey. Y'all, we did it. Collectively, we've all accomplished what we set out to do when we first set foot on this campus, or sign on to Moodle. From taking the LSAT or the GREs and turning in our application packets, we have all taken similar steps to get here today. And yet, we are all so different and have lived such different lives. Sincerely, one of my favorite things about VLS is that its students have a vast and diverse amount of life experience. My 1L year alone, my Carol buddies were a grandmother, a sassy guy from North Carolina, and a Kentucky gentleman with baby blues so shocking you'd swear you're in the Caribbean. Through VLS, we have all come to know people who were hairstylists, sommeliers, food activists, and farmers. We have friends who came from jobs in North Dakota to China. There's the river biologist, the lab technicians, the social worker, the arborist, the pageant queen, the CPAs, the activists, the paralegals, the teachers, and the soldier. We've met people with amazing talents and hidden party tricks. There's the masseuse, the musicians, the fresh pasta maker, the double-jointed talent, the rugby player, the dog whisperer, the black belt, the surfer, the skiers, and the kayak bro. We've shared food, drinks, and stomach-clenching laugh riots with each other. I'm highlighting our differences and our crazy past lives because I want us to remember how our differences made us stronger, made us unique, made us a community of people committed to learning from each other and our professors. Each of us, with our diverse experiences, brought something to the table. And as we all begin our careers and meet our future colleagues and bosses, and even become our own bosses, as we chat and socialize and compare and contrast our educations, our time at Vermont Law School may sound peculiar to others. Where else can you say that you've gotten emails about pig herds loose on the highway, bears on Back River Road, or wild turkeys running around campus, or even an all-school email about claiming trapped money in the library? What other school has faculty perform at gala, weekly hikes with the dean, or mystery swan costumes parading around campus? Our time at VLS may sound odd to others. People may raise their eyebrows when they hear of us, but class of 2019, mind the haters not. Y'all cute. because the turmoil of yesterday cannot take away the truth of today or tomorrow, which is we are a school of mission-minded students. We love the environment. We seek criminal justice reform. We speak for those without voices. We act for those who cannot. We work for the vulnerable, and we strive to change the world. We are a community of ambitious shakers and movers. We may be small, but we are mighty. We are filled with noble jags, generous public servants, ambitious associates, thrill seekers, and soon-to-be world leaders. It's our Vermont Law School difference that makes us a triple threat in the workplace. Our training here has taught us how to thrive in big and small communities, navigate bureaucracy, and socialize with people who have different backgrounds from our own. Just like how we made Vermont Law School interesting and better from our diverse life experience, Class of 2019, trust in the diversity that you bring to your future workplace. And I promise you do not have to be a queer Asian woman for this message of diversity to apply to you. Every single one of you came to VLS with a mission to accomplish. Beyond this degree, you all have goals to fulfill. And I believe that our purpose-based education from our different little school in our beautiful little town has uniquely prepared us to use the power of law to make an impact in our many communities and the world. Now, let's do a little bit of a roll call, because in times of transition, I think it's important to take a stance of gratitude and reflect on all the things and people who helped us get where we're going. So if y'all could help me thank the building and grounds crew, the cleaning crew, the cafe staff, and the VLS administration who have made this day possible. Next, give it up for the town who has hosted us, fed us, and provided resources and goods to us. Our town is cute, quaint, and wonderful. Next, please help me recognize our family and friends who have given us their emotional support, their time, and a multitude of resources to make this day possible. The moms, dads, and spouses. Let's also thank the mentors, the teachers, and the many sources of wisdom who have inspired us to become the advocates, activists, and attorneys we will soon become. To all the professors we have ever had here at VLS, you have shaped our experiences and our knowledge of the law. We are so grateful for your contribution to us and to all that you have done for VLS. You have personally crafted the next generation of lawmakers, and we thank you for your time and efforts. Then let's thank ourselves. Let's be a little self-congratulatory. So give yourself a pat on the back or whatever you need to treat yourself 2019. Your strained eyes, your multiple headaches, and your sleepless nights have produced your JD, MA, or LLM. Thank your past self for the tremendous efforts you exerted on this wonderful day. Lastly, thank you, Class of 2019, for being the best classmates, coworkers, and colleagues. Thank you for being and for someday becoming the best lawmakers, lawyers, and literal legends I will ever know. I know you were all meant for great things, amazing feats, and wonderful lives. It is an honor to be one of you. Class of 2019, congrats!
Serena, thank you very, very much. And on behalf of the administration, we want to award this to you. A little hint, it has something by Sabre Field, who is well known to all of you in Vermont. So you'll enjoy it, so remember. Thank you. That was terrific. Great choice. We are now going to present awards to members of the graduating class and the law school family. Descriptions of these awards can be found in the program which you have here. And it is my honor to first present the Learned Hand Award for Academic Excellence, established by the late Honorable Sterry Waterman, who was the second chair of the Vermont Law School Board of Trustees, and for many years, a colleague of Judge Hand on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. You should know, by the way, that one of our honorary degree recipients today, Judge Peter Hall, sits on that Second Circuit Court of Appeals. This award is given to the graduating student with the highest cumulative grade point average as of the end of the 5th semester. I'm pleased to announce that this year's recipient, as a representative of all of our students who strive for intellectual excellence following Learned Hand's example, is Ian Oxenham. A little bit about Ian. Ian's main goal in life is preventing catastrophic climate change. As an undergraduate, he co-founded a climate activist student group at his college and helped organize students to attend national climate protests. Between college and law school, he worked for a local solar installer in New Hampshire and as a fellow for Next Gen Climate. He enrolled in VLS's joint JD and Masters of Energy Regulation and Law, that's the MERL I told you about earlier, program, in order to pursue a long-term career in advancing climate solutions using both environmental and energy law. At Vermont Law School, Ian worked to advance low-income access to solar energy at the Energy Clinic during the summer between his first and second year of law school. He then worked on environmental enforcement and justice cases at the Environmental and Natural Resources Law Clinic, one of our 2 clinics that students work in here at the school. He was a Vermont Law Review member as well and wrote a note on removing state law barriers to energy storage that is being published in the next issue of Vermont Law Review. Ian demonstrates enthusiasm for learning and sharing knowledge. He is intellectually curious, an excellent researcher, and very methodical in his application of law and policy. He is a team player, respectful, and a pleasure to work with, and he cares about making this world a better place, as do all of you. Please join me in congratulating this year's Learned Hand winner recipient, Ian Oxenham. Ian, where are you, Ian? Come on up, there he is, come on up. I like the way you just stepped right on the chair. We got the photo, we're set. The second award that I have the pleasure of giving is named in the honor of the much loved and esteemed former dean of the school, Maximilian Kempner. The Kempner Award was established by the Board of Trustees of the school to honor Max on the occasion of his retirement as dean of the school. It recognizes the graduating student who, by personal example, throughout his or her law school career, exemplifies the attributes demonstrated by Max himself: competence, integrity, respect, fair-mindedness, and public service. This year, the award is presented to a student who epitomizes all of the virtues and values that Max Kempner exemplified. The recipient this year of this year's Kempner Award is Natasha Tremblay. If you know her, you would know that Natasha is truly a force on campus. If something is happening at VLS, chances are that Natasha is involved. I would say she might have been the manager of it. Contributing in a significant way as advocate, coordinator, or scholar, or all 3 of these. This year alone, Natasha served as student ambassador, chair of the Women's Law Group, and PR coordinator for the International Law Society and If, When, How. She also worked as a research assistant and a teaching assistant for both torts and property law, committing many hours of support to students and professors, all the while juggling her extracurricular activities and maintaining a 3.76 GPA. She also commuted back and forth between Montreal along the way. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. Natasha habitually goes above and beyond the scope of her duties, and both students and the VLS administration rely on her. I know I do, and Dean McCormick does, and Dean Jefferson. She takes her ambassador role seriously, welcoming and supporting students, and always lending a hand and caring for those who might be struggling. For If, When, How, she organized the Vagina Monologues and the Take Back the Night Walk, among other events and activities. As chair of the Women's Law Group, she organized the annual auction, which earned money for the Christina Rice Scholarship, Magic Mountain Children's Center, and Safeline. Natasha also initiated monthly intersectional lunches with other student groups, such as the International Law Society, the Alliance, Veterans Law Students, Native American Law Students, Black Law Students Association, and the Christian Law Fellowship. These animated discussions about issues related to feminism on campus and in society were uplifting and productive for everyone. And Natasha has made a rich and lasting contribution to VLS and the greater community, which I am certain she will go on to do. In fact, I think it was Dean McCormick who said yesterday that she looks forward to being able to say that she knew Natasha early on. It is my pleasure to present the 2019 Kempner Award to Natasha Tremblay. Natasha, please come on stage. Thank you, Natasha, so much. It's wonderful to be able to give these awards, but it's terrible to know that they won't be on campus next year. So, it's now my honor to introduce Christopher Smith. Christopher is a graduate of Vermont Law School, currently the vice president of our Vermont Law School Alumni Association. He graduated in 2014 and chairs both the nominating and mentoring committees on the Alumni Association. While attending Vermont Law School, Christopher was a legal writing Dean's Fellow, a teacher's assistant for constitutional law, regional chair of the National LGBT Bar Association, Student Congress, and president of the Student Bar Association. He currently practices corporate law. Actually, I think he spends most of his time doing things for VLS, but he also currently practices corporate law at the firm of Cohen, Kinney, Valicenti, and Cook in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And Christopher, please come to the podium. There he is.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, Dean McHenry, trustees, administration, faculty, staff, friends and family, and most importantly, graduates. My name is Christopher Smith, JD class of 2014, and today I once again have the privilege of addressing the class of 2019 on behalf of the Vermont Law School Alumni Association. Well, class of 2019, we appear to have come full circle, from your orientation to your commencement. I told you this time would fly by, and here you are, about to be the newest members of the Alumni Association. That's why I'm so excited and honored to present this year's Vermont Law School Alumni Association Lex Pro Urbe et Orbe Award. Our beloved school motto is Lex Pro Urbe et Orbe, law for the community and the world. Thus, this award goes to graduates whose thoughtful interest and energy enrich the school community during their years in residence. Graduates who represent the school's mission by enriching the lives of those in the school community and the communities of the Upper Valley and Vermont at large. Graduates who exemplify the school's values by showing constant respect and kindness to fellow students, faculty, administrators, staff, and alumni. Honorees actively support other students, ensuring successful and rich experiences at Vermont Law School. I first want to note, for those of you who aren't intimately familiar with Vermont Law School, that this award criteria may sound exceptional, and it is. But at Vermont Law School, that type of exceptional is almost run-of-the-mill. As I like to say, swans of a feather flock together. The community of students drawn to Vermont Law School makes our job every year very difficult. Each year as we deliberate this award, I am ever more proud and humbled to be a fighting swan. This year was no different. The nominees were so strong that we decided to recognize two people. One was described as a force of good in the world, whose accolades read as though she never sleeps. The other was said to have truly blessed this campus with her presence. Both are athletes. Both advocate for mental wellness. One is a social worker committed to the systematic change to improve the lives of families. She was administrative editor for the Vermont Journal of Environmental Law, social action director for the Northeast Black Law Students Association, the Inns of Court Joan Wing Fellow, and a VLS Social Justice Mission Scholar. She represented Vermont Law School in the Thurgood Marshall Moot Court competition, whooping the pants off Harvard to advance to the semifinals round. That's right. She was awarded Best Oralist for the prosecution in intensive trial practice. She also created an online course in alternative dispute resolution for Emory University and wrote the introductory article for the Georgetown Law Review. She did all this and volunteered at the food pantry in Barre, Vermont. The second recipient was in the legal field before law school for as long as it took to get her degree. She was professionally recommended for the student program for commissioning into the Judge Advocates General Corps after a summer internship with Navy JAG. She helped lead the effort to secure a full-time mental health position on the Vermont Law School campus, chaired the Student Bar Association's Mental Health Committee, and served on the Vermont Supreme Court's Commission for Well-Being of the Legal Profession. She supports physical as well as mental health as a spin instructor on campus and at the River Valley Club. These summaries only scratch the surface of the impact these two award recipients have on whatever community each is a part. Therefore, it is with great pride that I announce the 2019 award recipients of the Vermont Law School Alumni Association Lex Pro Urbe et Orbe Award, Rashida Butler and Jennifer O'Connor.
Christopher, thank you, and I can know both those individuals and say those are warmly deserved awards. Just one more award from me, and then shortly I'll ask Chairman Colleen Connor to introduce our commencement speaker. So upon the retirement of Dean Jeff Shields in 2012, a group of trustees and donors established a fund in honor of Jeff and his wife Jeannie and their commitment to philanthropy at the law school. I'm the dean, so I care a lot about philanthropy. And the Jeff and Jeannie Shields Prize was established as an annual award given to a member of the community who demonstrates a unique philanthropic contribution to the law school. The recipients of this prize collaborated and worked together in a matter of months with minimal resources to identify a space and create a gift document that provides resources specifically for students in need at the school. And this fundraising effort was for them, and I think for everybody else who supported it, truly a labor of love. So today we are going to offer these VLS community members who established the Professor Gil Kajovich Memorial Fund for Diversity and Equality. This is an endowed fund, meaning it will be in perpetuity, established in May of 2019 by friends, family members, and colleagues of Professor Gil Kajovich. Professor Kajovich was a Vermont Law School professor from 1981 to 2014 and served as interim dean for student affairs and diversity from 1997 to 1998 and vice dean for academic affairs from 2009 to 2012. Gil, or Cujo, as he was often called by faculty and students alike, was an indefatigable scholar, judicious, trusted, and a proponent of protecting equality in race, in the right to marry, and in education. He was beloved by many, a true mentor, friend, and a very devoted husband. The endowment in his name will be used in ways to promote diversity and equality at Vermont Law School. As of today, contributions to the fund are over $100,000, and coupled with the Shields Fund matching monies, has reached $114,000. And you can still make a contribution if you like. It is my pleasure to award the 2019 Shields Prize to the creators and promoters and builders of this fund, to Joni Chenoweth Gilswetto, to the former student and current Vermont Law School trustee Michael Hill, and to former student Shirley Jefferson, JD Class of '86, and our current Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Diversity, also our Title IX coordinator, and an Associate Professor of Law here at Vermont Law School. So I'll ask Joni, Mike, and Shirley to join me on the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Gil, to the faculty, the trustees, and all of you who made this possible. Thank you very much. He'd be very honored.
Thank you, Dean McHenry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker this year, United States Senator from Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin. Senator Baldwin was born in Madison, Wisconsin, and raised by her grandparents in the Badger State. Having graduated from Michigan State University, I'll just let that slide. She graduated from Madison West High School in 1980 and went on to double major in political and science and mathematics at Smith College. In 1989, she received her law degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. With a deep commitment to public service, she served on the Madison City Council, the Dane County Board of Supervisors, and the Wisconsin State Assembly. In 1998, she was elected to the House of Representatives, representing Wisconsin's 2nd Congressional District for 7 terms. In 2012, Senator Baldwin was elected to the United States Senate as Wisconsin's first woman to serve in the Senate and the first openly gay member elected to the Senate. In 2016, Senator Baldwin won re-election to a 2nd term in the Senate by 11 points. In the Senate, Senator Baldwin has worked across party lines to strengthen the essential pillars of economic security for American families, college affordability, investments in STEM and career and technical education, and quality, affordable health care for all Americans. Throughout her career in public service, Senator Baldwin has been a leader on Great Lakes restoration, environmental protection, and conservation issues. And she was recently named by the Senate Democrat Special Committee on the Climate Crisis to mobilize action and support for bold climate solutions. We're delighted that she has agreed to join us in celebrating the class of 2019. Senator Baldwin, it's my great pleasure to introduce you and to welcome you to South Royalton.
Wow. Well, I want to thank the chair of the Board of Trustees for that generous introduction. Thank you so much, Chair Connor. And I also want to thank and recognize your president and dean, Tom McHenry, for a wonderful welcome to Vermont Law School. Thank you to all the faculty, administrators, and staff who make Vermont Law School such a great place to learn how to make a difference in the world. And I'd like to give just a couple of quick shout outs to faculty with Wisconsin connections. My good friend, Kathleen Falk, who I think will be rejoining you this summer, started her career as an environmental law leader and later served as the elected executive of the county of Dane, which is my home county, and then as a regional director for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the Obama administration. And Kathleen is now a very proud visiting professor of law here and probably lives 5 blocks from me in Madison, Wisconsin. So I also want to say how wonderful it is to meet and get to know Cynthia Lewis, Vice Dean for Faculty, and a native of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. But to the entire faculty, you are outstanding stewards of this proud institution and exceptional mentors for the students of Vermont Law School. And I also want to take a moment to say thank you to all of the parents, grandparents, aunts, brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors who have traveled here today to celebrate success, but also I recognize that there was a lot of work along the way. You've helped the class of 2019 reach this very proud moment in their lives. And to students, soon to be graduates, you are about to become graduates of the premier environmental law school in the nation. Congratulations. It is such an honor to get the chance to join you for this 44th commencement ceremony. And I wanted to start by just telling you how it is that I came to be here today. Because I was first invited to give this commencement address by someone I get to work with a lot, and somebody that I see on the floor of the Senate every day. And no, it's not Senator Leahy, although I just had the privilege of being a part of a bipartisan U.S. Senate delegation he led last month to Korea and Vietnam. And you know, by the way, Senator Sanders visited Wisconsin last month, so who's to say I can't visit Vermont, right? But again, it was not Bernie who invited me to be here today. No, I was invited by a proud graduate of this school and the very first woman to hold the position of parliamentarian in either House of Congress, U.S. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough. There she is. We were visiting, she was your commencement speaker last year, and I remember visiting on the Senate floor about that recognition, and she invited me. And, you know, it's not hard to try to get a U.S. Senator to get out of Washington, D.C. for a beautiful weekend. So anyways, I am really proud to be here at this moment of celebration, a celebration of your hard work and your accomplishment. But you did not come to school here because you wanted the piece of paper that you are about to receive. You came here because you wanted the chance to be change agents, guided by the school's motto, law for the community and the world. And it's that commitment to something bigger than yourselves that makes us all proud, and it should give you great personal pride as well. When I was driving here today from Norwich and enjoying the beautiful landscape, I felt like I could just as easily been driving through the north woods of the state of Wisconsin. Okay, our hills aren't quite as high, but indeed our states are separated by over 1,000 miles, but we share a lot in common. We have humble, hardworking people with an independent streak. Both our states rely on the agricultural economy that is driven by hardworking dairy farmers and organic farmers. And as a proud cheesehead representing America's dairyland, I can say with authority that if not for Wisconsin, Vermont would not only make the best maple syrup, but you would also make the best cheese. Both our states have a proud tradition of working to preserve and protect our environment. We value our natural resources, and my guess is that many of you soon-to-be graduates gained a deep appreciation for the environment at a young age, just like I did. And for that, you should thank your parents, grandparents, and family, because that may be, in fact, the greatest gift they've given you on this path. And perhaps without it, you might not have been here today. For me, growing up in a small city, I have great childhood memories of going to Girl Scout camp and being exposed to the wonders of nature. There I learned valuable survival skills, appreciation of the outdoors, and I was introduced to new things that I had not encountered in my ordinary daily routine. But I also cherished our family outings. My grandparents, who, as you heard in the introduction, raised me, my grandfather was a tenured professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and my grandmother was a staff member at the university, but they loved to walk. And we took long, long nature walks through our arboretum and family picnics and visits to Blue Mound State Park, which was one of my favorites. Now, for a little girl, the environment could be best summed up in my youth as campfires, s'mores, swimming, and bugs. However, as I grew older, I learned about how closely Wisconsin's history and traditions are tied to our environment and our natural resources. Our nation owes a great debt of gratitude to Wisconsin figures like John Muir and Aldo Leopold. They had big ideas that have shaped our public policy and our thinking about and our interactions with the land around us. John Muir, known as the father of our national park system, called Wisconsin his home, as his family settled in our state when he was just a very young boy. In his book, The Story of My Boyhood and Youth, he wrote, "Nature streaming into us, wooing, teaching her wonderful glowing lessons, so unlike the dismal grammar, ashes and cinders so long thrashed into us. Here, without knowing it, we're still at school. Every wild lesson a love lesson, not whipped, but charmed into us. Oh, that glorious Wisconsin wilderness." This is a reminder of what is so impressive about the passion of your pursuit. As we celebrate your accomplishment today and all you will take with you from this school, it is your commitment to learning the ongoing lessons our environment teaches us that we celebrate as well. As you go forward, what you learn and teach others about our environment will be a part of your making the change that you seek to be. It is what will make you the change agents that you have prepared to be and will be. Aldo Leopold was a professor at the University of Wisconsin and is best known for his book, A Sand County Almanac. He and his family spent weekend retreats at the Shack, literally a rebuilt chicken coop along the Wisconsin River. The landscape surrounding the Leopold Shack and farm informed the vision put forward by Leopold and his call for a land ethic, a caring, ethical relationship between people and nature. This ethic is something you students know, and it's an ethic that will help guide the work you do. Now, when I was growing up, we had a US Senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson, and his legacy has really helped guide my work in public service. While growing up in Clear Lake, Wisconsin, Gaylord saw how important the environment, from the farmland to the Great Lakes, was to our way of life. And throughout his career as governor in the United States Senate, Gaylord Nelson looked for ways to promote conservation and environmentalism. He talked endlessly to his US Senate colleagues, but he couldn't get them to take sound environmental policy and to make it a priority. And he thought long and hard about how he might achieve that goal. On one fateful day in 1969, inspiration struck him on how to make this a national and eventually a global movement for a cleaner environment and a healthier globe. While inspecting an oil spill off the coast on the Pacific Ocean, a thought struck Gaylord Nelson. Let's have a national day to raise awareness for conservation efforts. Inspired by the teach-ins during the Vietnam era that were occurring on college campuses around the country, Nelson envisioned a national teach-in on the crisis of the environment. After mulling over the idea with other environmental activists, Senator Nelson's idea for a national teach-in became known as Earth Day, 1970. By his example, Gaylord has shown us all that change happens in many ways. When he failed in his early attempts in the United States Senate to get his colleagues worked up, he didn't give up. He continued to look for other ways to achieve his goal. And the answer he found was that the greatest change came from engaging everyone. Gaylord empowered others to be their own organizers, to create a grassroots movement for a national day of action. People not only held teach-ins, they attended marches, rallies, concerts. Some planted trees, others picked up literally tons of trash. All of them were joined in a movement to leave the world better than they had found it. In a speech at the University of Wisconsin-Madison on the eve of Earth Day, Gaylord asked, "Are we able? Yes. Are we willing? That's the unanswered question." This is what he said about the first Earth Day 49 years ago. He said it was a truly astonishing grassroots explosion. People cared, and Earth Day became the first opportunity they ever had to send a big message to the politicians, a message to tell them to wake up and do something. And it worked because of the spontaneous and enthusiastic reception at the grassroots. Nothing like that had ever happened before. And while our organizing on college campuses was very well done, the thousands of events in our schools and communities were self-generated at the local level. Today, our nation and the world face an urgent threat that demands a similar call to action. Let there be no doubt that global climate change is real. It is a fact. The question is not whether climate change is occurring, but how America is going to take it on. And the question for us is, are we going to do all that we can to leave the next generation a safer and healthier world? We must answer that question, yes. However, for every step forward we've seen in Washington, it seems like over the last 30 years we've taken 2 steps back. When I was a law student 30 years ago, NASA scientist James Hansen testified before the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. In 1988, he stated that the Earth was warming and that humans were the reason. The following year, Hansen complained that the Bush administration toned down the severity of his conclusions before they were delivered to a Senate committee headed by then Tennessee Senator Al Gore. At the end of the day, President George H.W. Bush failed to make good on pledges he made to take concrete action to protect the planet. The problem then, just as is it now, is that powerful corporate interests, big oil, the fossil fuel industry, and big polluters have too much power and influence in Washington. That they not only get politicians to deny science, they get politicians to stand in the way of the action we so desperately need. That same year, back in 1988, several months before I graduated from law school at the University of Wisconsin, the supertanker Exxon Valdez, owned and operated by Exxon Corporation, ran aground on the reef in Prince William Sound in southern Alaska. An estimated 11 million gallons of oil eventually spilled into the water. Attempts to contain that massive spill were unsuccessful, and wind and currents spread the oil more than 100 miles from its source, eventually polluting more than 700 miles of coastline. This massive man-made disaster was a profound reminder of how fragile our natural resources are and how devastating our actions can be to our environment. In 1997, President Clinton signed the Kyoto Protocol, an international treaty to address climate change. However, the US Senate failed to ratify it. In fact, they passed a resolution rejecting the United States' support for the Kyoto Protocol. Then came President George W. Bush, who actually campaigned on a pledge to regulate power plants' carbon emissions. But when he took office, it was his vice president who quickly reversed that commitment. Prior to being elected to the United States Senate, I served in the House of Representatives, and I was a member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. In the summer of 2006, I was honored to participate in a bipartisan fact-finding tour with my colleagues, specifically visiting countries that are innovators in clean, efficient, and renewable energy production. We visited countries that have significantly smaller footprints on the world than we do here in the US, including Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. These countries were leading efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and address climate change. I wish you all could have been there, in the room, in Sweden, when a leader of the Conservative Party in the parliament, that's right, the Conservative Party, leaned across the table and looked at our then committee chairman, Texas Congressman Joe Barton. He looked him in the eye and said, "What will you tell your grandchildren about your failure to take climate change seriously?" That was 13 years ago, and the rest of the world would be right to be asking that same question today. In June 2009, a Democratic House passed legislation that would have developed and established a greenhouse gas cap-and-trade system, but the Senate never took it up. President Obama understood that we have an obligation to protect our children and future generations against the impacts of climate change by addressing its main cause, carbon pollution from power plants. And that's why he proposed his Clean Power Plan in 2014. This was a common sense and achievable plan that allowed states the flexibility they need to develop customized plans that would keep our energy affordable and reliable while ensuring our children have clean air to breathe. In 2015, President Obama provided leadership when the United States signed on to the Paris Climate Agreement. Unfortunately, in 2019, our president refuses to acknowledge that climate change is occurring. He has questioned sound science and called climate change a hoax. President Trump rescinded the Clean Power Plan and backed out of the Paris Accord. And in doing so, he's turned America's back to the rest of the world. He has failed to provide the leadership on the urgent and immediate threat of climate change, and he has failed future generations. Again, for every step forward, it seems that we take 2 steps back. What remains constant is that carbon pollution is a major cause of climate change, and recent extreme weather events and health trends have revealed that it is an imminent threat. In fact, 97% of climate scientists agree that human activity is drastically changing the planet's climate. The impact can be felt with extreme weather, and here in Vermont, you know this. Scientists have concluded that the effects of climate change, from rising sea levels to warmer oceans, have made hurricanes more destructive. Hurricane Irene drove that fact home for Vermont with flooding in 2011 that destroyed or damaged roads, homes, businesses, bridges, and railroad lines. In Wisconsin, we're not hit by hurricanes, but we're feeling the effect of climate change in our own ways. Of particular concern to us are the costs of infrastructure damage from extreme weather events like flooding, the crop and livestock losses from extreme weather, and increasing water pollution in our Great Lakes and inland lakes and rivers. The Great Lakes region is warming faster than the rest of the country, and moreover, we face threats in the coming decades, ranging from increased flooding and higher temperatures to deteriorating water quality and fluctuating lake levels, as well as proliferation of invasive species that pose major threats to the ecology and economy of the Great Lakes. These are major parts of our economy. Taking bold action to confront climate change is not just an environmental goal, it is an urgent economic necessity for those of us in Wisconsin, and the same is true in Vermont, in our country, and the world. The good news is that we know how to do it. No, we don't need to eliminate cows and take away your cheeseburgers. We need to cut carbon pollution. We already limit dangerous pollutants like mercury with success and without additional cost to consumers. Now is the time we work to do the same with carbon pollution. America has never been afraid of the challenges we face. And when we face a threat to our national security, public health, and our economy, we must act. 4 years ago, I had the honor and privilege of attending Pope Francis's address to a joint session of Congress. In his remarks, he said, "We need a conversation which includes everyone, since the environmental challenge we are undergoing and its human roots concern and affect us all. I call for a courageous and responsible effort to redirect our steps and to avert the most serious effects of the environmental deterioration caused by human activity. I am convinced that we can make a difference, and I have no doubt that the United States and this Congress have an important role to play." He is right, and we must take action now. We have a moral responsibility to keep our promise to future generations and meet this challenge with bold solutions. I want to close with a poem by Drew Dellinger. He captured this sentiment when he wrote, "It's 3:23 in the morning, and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, 'What did you do while the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing, as the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew?'" And with the coming of the train, I am going to close by saying all my very best to you, the Vermont Law School class of 2019. Go change the world. Thank you.
I have to say that we have never had a commencement speaker who timed her speech so well.
Senator Baldwin, thank you for that message. You're an inspiration to us all. And now on to the business of the day. Dean McHenry, will you please present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa?
Senator Baldwin, will you please join me at the podium? Senator Tammy Baldwin, you have amassed over 21 years in public service. Actually, I think you started even earlier than that, including the last 7 as Wisconsin's first woman in the U.S. Senate. Throughout your career, you have been a force in environmental protection and conservation issues, and now serve on the Senate Democrat Special Committee on Climate Crisis, which you so eloquently spoke to a moments ago. Your leadership is an inspiration to us all, and therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Colin O'Mara, will you please join me at the podium? Colin O'Mara, you are an avid outdoorsman and longtime champion of the environment. And I'll go off script to say, although you attended college nearby down the White River on the Connecticut River, your spirit is here at Vermont Law School. You have served as Cabinet Secretary of Delaware's Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, spearheading outdoor recreation and conservation initiatives to get children and people of all ages outdoors and enjoying nature. You have served on numerous boards tasked with addressing the climate and energy challenges that endanger all life, and you now serve as President and Chief Executive Officer of the National Wildlife Federation, I believe still the largest conservation organization in the United States, working to recover wildlife, restore public lands, and preserve our environment for outdoor and wildlife enthusiasts. Your dedication to mitigating the environmental crises that threaten our planet is an inspiration and a call to action. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Thank you. Judge Peter Hall, will you please stand and come forward? Judge Peter W. Hall is well known and beloved to us at Vermont Law School, our students and faculty, and our trustees. You have had a long and distinguished career serving justice and Vermont's legal community, with accomplishments ranging from your current position as Second Circuit Judge and Judicial Council member, to U.S. Attorney for the District of Vermont, to private law practice in Rutland, where interestingly you practiced with the current Chief Justice of the Vermont Supreme Court. You are a member of the American Bar Association, the Vermont Bar Association, the Rutland County Bar Association. You were president of the first study commission of the International Association of Judges, focusing on issues related to the independence of the judiciary, a subject on which you are very familiar and you constantly seek to promote. You are a fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers. You graduated cum laude from Cornell Law School. And not least of all, in our estimation, you served for 3 terms on our Board of Trustees. We are grateful to you for your career-long dedication to upholding justice. It is therefore our great privilege and honor to be able to award you an honorary degree from the only law school in Vermont, and to recognize your many contributions to the judiciary, to the practice of law, to the administration of justice, and to the state of Vermont, and to the nation. Therefore, by the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Thank you.
In addition to training future lawyers through our Juris Doctor program, Vermont Law School also offers a number of master's degrees that provide deeper understanding of environmental law and policy. These degrees are described in your program. Vice Dean McCormick will now present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the degrees of Juris Doctor and Masters of Environmental Law and Policy, Master of Energy Regulation and Law, or Master of Food and Agricultural Law and Policy. Dean McCormick.
Will the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the joint degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Juris Doctor and Master of Energy Regulation and Law, and Juris Doctor and Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy, please stand. Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and the joint degrees of Juris Doctor and Master of Environmental Law and Policy, Juris Doctor and Master of Energy Regulation and Law, and Juris Doctor and Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree or degrees listed after your name, and I welcome you all to the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Please come to the platform as Dean McCormick calls your name. I will present you with your diploma or diplomas, assisted by Dean McHenry. In addition, those graduates who have completed certificate programs will receive a certificate to that effect at this time. Associate Deans Shirley Jefferson and Jennifer Rushlow will assist you in donning the hood or hoods appropriate to your academic attainment. We congratulate you on earning the degrees of Juris Doctor, Masters of Environmental Law and Policy, Master of Energy Regulation and Law, and Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy. I ask the audience, I don't know why I say this, but to withhold its applause until all degrees have been awarded. Thank you.
Emma Akrawi, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Elias Ancharski, Juris Doctor. Twisha Crystal Balusubramanian, Juris Doctor. Kaylin F. Barber, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Evan Baylor, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude. Catherine Blow, Juris Doctor. Tabitha Marie Bouchard, Juris Doctor. Joshua Bowyer, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Caitlin M. Brightwell, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Michael Brown, Juris Doctor. Rashida Butler, Juris Doctor. Megan Rose Cahill Calla, Juris Doctor. Amanda Carrington, Juris Doctor. Brantley L. Carter, Juris Doctor. Chloe Danielle Castro, Juris Doctor. Aaron William Chambers, Juris Doctor. Ben Civiletti, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Hannah Louise Clarice, Juris Doctor, cum laude. George E. Klaus II, Juris Doctor. Hannah Dean, Juris Doctor, cum laude, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Samantha Diane Doyle, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Holly Dupree, Juris Doctor. Ashley Rose Ellick, Juris Doctor. Diane Grace Eze, Juris Doctor. Michael Ferrari, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Alicia Falrod, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Catherine Ann Gabriel, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Sebastian Garcia, Juris Doctor. Joseph Giovinazzo, Juris Doctor. James D. Goodman, Juris Doctor. Noah Greenstein, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Joe Hazy, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Gaines Harrell, Juris Doctor. Ariana Heim, Juris Doctor. Cody Kirk Hines, Juris Doctor. Denise Holland, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Amanda Ray Hoosterlid, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Bomi Huang, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Mandy Jagersall, Juris Doctor. Amy Johnson, Juris Doctor. Mariama Jones, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Caitlin A. Kelly, Juris Doctor. Mahmoudi Kamal, Juris Doctor. Usman Samad Khan, Juris Doctor. Catherine Klaus, Juris Doctor. Diana Koch, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Sergey Komogortsev, Juris Doctor. Alexander Craw, Juris Doctor. William R. Labarge, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Nicholas Lansfeld, Juris Doctor. Elodie Lara, Juris Doctor. Patrick F. Leary II, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Nico Lustig, Juris Doctor, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy with distinction. Jason Malgady, Juris Doctor. Tyler Manning Halsley, Juris Doctor. Daphnis Marceline, Juris Doctor. Brittany Christina Martinez, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Emery Matthias, Juris Doctor. Milton Antonio Mendez, Juris Doctor. Christopher Nelson Merritt, Juris Doctor. Phoenix Michaelis Myers, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Lucky Karima Egnan Malad, Juris Doctor. Sean P. Milligan, Juris Doctor. Martin Tyler Monahan, Juris Doctor. Allison Lindsay Moore, Juris Doctor. Lauren Moore, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Tyler M. Morrison, Juris Doctor. Eric R. DeClerio, Juris Doctor. Jamie Neary, Juris Doctor. Admira Nkuka, Juris Doctor. Jacob Oblak, Juris Doctor, cum laude. Jennifer E. O'Connor, Juris Doctor. Emma O'Call, Juris Doctor. Charles W. Olson, Juris Doctor. Katie O'Neill, Juris Doctor. Ian Oxenham, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude, and Master of Energy Regulation and Law with distinction. Cynthia Margarita Pena Ortiz, Juris Doctor. Matthew Phillips, Juris Doctor, summa cum laude. Dylan Post, Juris Doctor. Vincent Puleo, Juris Doctor. Alexis Elizabeth Randall, Juris Doctor. Pamela J. Roberts, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Daniel R. Sanchez, Juris Doctor. Alexa Santella, Juris Doctor. Nicholas Joseph Santavasi, Juris Doctor. Victoria Ann Santry, Juris Doctor. Kyle Sasser, Juris Doctor. Mia Lauren Chiappi, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Margaret Shugart, Juris Doctor, Magna Cum Laude, and Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Angela Sicker, Juris Doctor, Master of Energy Regulation and Law. Jeffrey Paul Sokolik, Juris Doctor, Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy. Rush Sowell, Juris Doctor, Cum Laude. Crystal Showamimo, Juris Doctor. Dana Spiro, Juris Doctor. Jania Steed, Juris Doctor. Amy Stevens, Juris Doctor, Magna Cum Laude. Ethan J. Story, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Joseph Strain, Juris Doctor, Magna Cum Laude. Rachel Renee Switek, Juris Doctor. Serena Laping Tang, Juris Doctor. Natalie Thomas, Juris Doctor. Natasha Tremblay, Juris Doctor. Suzanne Vashula, Juris Doctor. Simone Valcour, Juris Doctor, Magna Cum Laude, and Master of Environmental Law and Policy with distinction. Bodie Waldrop, Juris Doctor, Master of Environmental Law and Policy. Nicole Weber, Juris Doctor. Laura Wharton, Juris Doctor. Soraya Elise Williams, Juris Doctor. Andrea Jovita Moreno Zamudio, Juris Doctor. Last but not least, Kyron Williams, Juris Doctor.
Gotta have a memory, right?
Okay, now you can applaud. Associate Dean Jennifer Rushlow will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy.
Should I start? Okay. Emily Catherine Anderson. Courtney Bayonne. Kate Burdan. Laura Elise Berger. Jennifer Byrne. Congratulations. Michelle L. Davis. Callum Dixon. Zebulon Edwards. Carl Wyman Ender. Bailey Ann Grebin. Ching Ching Ho. Emma Niles Howard. Ashley Marianne Jones. Dana Kent. Kayla Kafer. Noi Kruvy. Jamie McKinnon. Karina Matiash. Carly Erin Pusateri. Andrew Ramsey. Cindy Tran. Blake Adele Weinard. Douglas Whitehead.
She is here. Victoria Howard. Where she is? I don't know what number. Yeah. Just call her. Yeah, call her now.
Victoria Hellwig.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Assuming it's that way, yeah, so you're
Yeah,
going
no,
the
I
right
know,
way.
but one sec. So it just pointed out to me that I forgot to actually graduate them, so just give me 1 second. Okay. The one thing I have to do all year. Okay, here we are. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Environmental Law and Policy, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Okay, Institute for Energy and the Environment Director, Kevin Jones, will now present the candidates for the degree of Masters of Energy Regulation and Law.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law please stand? Oh, they're over there. Okay. It said I was supposed to say that, so we'll just go to the names. I'm reading the script. Joel Anastasio. Daniel Brown. Charlotte Kahn. Stephanie Dumond. Frederick Morris. Charles Bradford Spence.
By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Energy Regulation and Law, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. Center for Agriculture and Food Systems Director and Associate Dean, Lori Baranovan, will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy.
Should I tell them to stand up? Should I tell them to stand up? Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy.
Okay, now I'll get it in the right order. By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Food and Agriculture Law and Policy, and I welcome you to all of the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Courtney Ayan. Alyssa Hartman. Jesse Womack.
Center for Justice Reform Director Robert Sand will now present the candidates for the degree for Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts in Restorative Justice, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Cortez Campbell. Ricardo Jonathan Joseph Edwards, Jr. Tanya Suzanne Kendall. Christine Margaret Martin.
Associate Dean Rushlow will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws in Environmental Law, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Julia Christine Hilty. Qi Zhang.
Institute for Energy and Environment Director Kevin Jones will now present the candidate for the degree of Master of Laws in Energy Law.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Energy Law please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Energy Law.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws in Energy Law, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Ludovica Mastro Bono. Krista Shute.
Center for Agriculture and Food Systems Director and Associate Dean Lori Baranovan will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in Food and Agriculture Law.
Will the candidate for the degree of Master of Laws in Food and Agriculture Law please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidate for the degree of Master of Laws in Food and Agriculture Law.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws in Food and Agriculture Law, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. And no need to hold your applause, just bring it on.
Ola Jamoke, Omalara, Akira Misi.
Whew, I'm glad I don't have to read the names. Center of Agriculture and Food Systems Director and Associate Dean Lori Baranovan will now present the candidate for the degree of Master of Laws in Food and Agriculture Law. I just did that. Okay. All right. We did that. We're good. We're good.
Is that,
okay.
It's the LLM.
We got it.
LLMALS.
Got it. Got it. Vice Dean Beth McCormick will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies. The LLM in American Legal Studies is an advanced degree program for students who already hold a law degree from an institution outside of the United States. The LLM was developed as part of an innovative dual degree program with the University of Sergi Thank you. Thank you. Sergi Pontoise in Paris, France.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies please stand? Chair Connor, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies.
By the virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Vermont Law School, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws in American Legal Studies, and I welcome you to all the honors, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto.
Allison Adam. Christopher DeHay. Jerome Pothin.
Members of the faculty, staff, Board of Trustees, alumni, and families and friends, please recognize with your applause the achievements and distinctions of Vermont Law School's 44th graduating class, the class of 2019. I would like to thank our piper, Ben Montrose, who led the procession, and the musicians of Royal Town Brass. I would also like to thank Teresa Johnson for her careful planning and preparation of this event, as well as all the members of the staff and the student marshals and others whose assistance was essential, even if I tried to mess it up. After the rendition of the national anthem sung by 2019 Masters graduate Kristen Martin, the bagpiper and the student marshals will lead the academic procession from the tent. I ask the audience to remain in place until the conclusion of the academic procession. The academic procession will proceed back to campus. Family and friends may follow the procession to the campus, where you are invited to join us in greeting the graduates and share refreshments on the back lawn of Debevoise Hall. This concludes the proceedings of the Vermont Law School's 44th commencement.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land